Hello, my name is Aaron Claiborne with Wisconsin Voices for Recovery. Today I have Sarah with me to share her experience with stigma. How's it going, Sarah? How are you today?
I'm good. How are you doing?
I'm doing very well myself. It's nice to have you here. Now, if you could tell me, how does stigma harm people who are seeking or in recovery?
So, stigma is one of the biggest barriers I think a lot of people find when trying to pursue recovery, whether it's in the medical profession, criminal justice. There's a lot of belief that people with substance use disorder don't ever change, don't get better. Or there's a belief that the actions of people with substance use disorder is due to a moral problem rather than it being recognized as a symptom. Um, one of I've run into this a couple times. Being in the hospital, or even before going to the hospital, I would fight going to the hospital. I always had friends and family having to talk me into going to the hospital when I was suffering withdrawal symptoms because I was so afraid to go. I knew the judgment was going to be there. And the time one of the times I did go, I actually was had seizure-like activity the entire day. But I still was afraid to go, and it took my family convincing me to go in there, and then I ended up having a full seizure in the hospital. And if I wouldn't have gone, who knows where else I would have been when I had that seizure. And even in that situation, I came out of that and I was concerned. I'd never had a seizure before. I asked the doctor, is my brain okay? Like, am I okay? Is this a permanent thing? And what he said to me was, you don't have one. Um, so he didn't address my concerns. He didn't um make me feel safe. I felt judged. I felt afraid. Because I also felt that he wasn't gonna pursue the issue and make sure there was nothing else wrong with me. And I didn't even want to be there. So in that situation, I was lucky, and a recovery coach ended up coming and advocating for me. But it made me very afraid to seek medical care to further anything because I didn't think that I was going to be taken seriously.
Yeah, and that's a very serious situation. I mean, I can totally relate to that. Who wants to, you know, look towards someone who's supposed to be providing you with help and support, and they're not. Yeah, I wouldn't want to go either. I mean, uh, that's not unheard of in the with medical providers. Thank you for answering that and sharing that. Now I'd like to ask you, how does stigma against people uh, perpetuate substance use disorder?
So the word I immediately associate with perpetuate is preserve. And why would we want to preserve something like substance use disorder? So much pain, so much suffering comes into it, from all sides. The person with the substance use disorder, the family surrounding them, um, the communities. And with this stigma, we have people who um share thoughts like, why provide naloxone? It's their choice. Let them die, or um lock them up, and then we end up with full jail systems. And with beliefs like this, it's making it harder for people to seek treatment, harder for people to try to take that next step because there's no one, or there's a lack of support in the community, a lack of belief in them. And one of the big things with stigma, and the argument I hear all the time is about choice. They chose this is their choice, this is their. And my big thing with that is we all make choices every day. We choose to drive a car, knowing there's a risk we might get in a car accident. Um, and nobody deserves to die because of a choice they made, if that's the argument we're gonna have. And so as far as it with this, and like I said, the stigma is in the hospitals, it's in criminal justice, it's in all these places where people are going to seek help or would need that support. So if people aren't willing to give that or provide that, then it makes um all it facilitates is the preservation of continued use. Um and we need to be able to overcome that, because um that's the only way we can try and solve this crisis, or move towards recovery and support people in recovery.
Very well said. Yeah, that is really deep. Preserving stigma. That's a really great um way you put that. I appreciate that. Something for us to listen to and grow with. Thank you so much for that. Is there anything else you'd like to say to our listeners in our last 30 seconds or so?
I just want to add that if I can find recovery and if I can be my substance use disorder, literally anyone can. And we are the faces that fight that stigma. Being able to see our faces is proof that it can be overcome.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Um, well, I'd like to show my appreciation by thanking you again. You provided some very insightful information and experiences about stigma. Um, I would like everybody to check back in with us for new stigma interviews. I'd like to thank Sarah again for being here and sharing her views, opinions, and experiences on stigma. Thank you, Sarah. All right. Everybody have a great evening.